crumbling Rangoon, the historic golden pagodas are certainly standout striking, but their beauty also highlights the surrounding decay. The Burmese capital is dilapidated after years of neglect under military rule. And trapped within this disintegrating city is another Burmese icon. Aung San Suu Kyi is now 66, and for 15 of the past 21 years, she's been a prisoner in her own home.
I don't get frustrated because I can't go out. I can read, I can listen to the radio. The only thing that used to bother me was when I felt that I should be outside helping my colleagues and friends when there were difficult times.
After months of planning and negotiating, I'm on the last leg of my trip to see the world-renowned democracy campaigner. I've slipped into Burma posing as a tourist. As a journalist, I'm not supposed to be here, and if I'm caught, I could be arrested, deported or jailed. Just 8 months since her release from house arrest, Aung San Suu Kyi's every move is watched, so I'm still not sure if we'll finally be able to get to her. Eventually we do evade surveillance and sneak in to meet Aung San Suu Kyi in her crumbling house on the shores of Inya Lake. It's now the base for her renewed campaign to inspire ordinary people to take control of their future.
There's a political agenda, and we have made no secret of this, because what we are trying to do is to make the people understand that democracy is something for which everybody can work in their own way. And they must bring about the changes that they want. They must accept the responsibility for the society in which they live, and not just expect a political party or politicians to do their job for them.
She remains as determined and committed as ever. But the question for her and some of her key supporters on this assignment is this: is she still the force for hope and change in Burma? Or has Aung San Suu Kyi's time come and gone?
I believe that in the end, real change has to come from inside, that the really essential work must be done by those who are in the country.
Do you find it frustrating that I say you can't leave the country. I mean, I suppose you can, but you may not be able to return. I mean, is that a source of frustration for you, not to be able to take your message out, to have to try and get it out through other means?
No, because after all I can get out my message. It's not the same as going, of course, but I'm not frustrated by it. I mean, you've got to remember that I've been under house arrest for 15 of the last 20 years, and I've discovered that I'm really not a gadabout.
Aung San Suu Kyi has long been synonymous with the isolation of Burma. The opposition leader's been repeatedly jailed in her own home by the regime for her policies and her popularity. On her birthday in June, thousands gathered to see the woman they call Auntie Sue. But the task of changing an intractable regime is immense, and expectations are high.
What's your feeling about how long people will have to wait to see any real change here?
I don't think you can work on feelings in politics. Apart from anything else, political change can come very unexpectedly, sometimes overnight, when you least expect it. With politics, I always say, when people ask me, especially Burmese people, when they ask me, when will we get democracy? I always say, you ask yourself what you've been doing for the democratic process. And if you're contributing a lot, then you have the right to think that it'll come sooner than later. But if you're doing nothing, then I don't think you have the right to expect it to come soon. So everybody must try to make his or her own contribution. And what I have discovered is that those who work hardest are the ones who are least likely to say it's taking too long.
Burma's regime is brutal. An election last year transformed the junta into a civilian government, but so far in name only. The military's held power by force for almost 50 years against a backdrop of long-running conflict with the country's ethnic minorities. The country's people face persecution, forced labour, rape and extortion. And Burma remains a pariah state. The international community maintains economic sanctions and continues to be encouraged to do so by Aung San Suu Kyi and her party.
I notice how poor it seems. It's very blatant as soon as you arrive here. There's been much talk about sanctions. Can you tell me why you are maintaining a position of retaining sanctions?
I think people have to ask why sanctions were instituted in the first place. Sanctions are not really an economic weapon. Their aim is not something economic. Sanctions were instituted for political reasons. And then, of course, a lot of people shout and scream about the fact that sanctions are making life tough for the people of Burma, and this is not the case at all.
That's a position that's prompted some to ask if Aung San Suu Kyi and her colleagues are really in touch with the ordinary people of Burma. I'm off to meet the National League for Democracy's ageing co-founder, Win Tin. This other elder statesman of the freedom movement says the sanctions do harm Burma's reputation, but not the people themselves.
We need sanctions because sanctions is the only action from the international community on that junta. It is very important and very, very tangible.
After forming the opposition with Aung San Suu Kyi, Win Tin himself spent 19 years in jail for political activity, most of it in solitary confinement. He admits that the party probably is out of touch because its members have never been able to walk freely among the people.
Well, maybe they are true, maybe true, because there's not because of our lack of contact with the people and so on, but maybe because we have no chance to make out.
Now in his 80s, Win Tin is so used to solitude that he lives in this tiny bungalow in retreat from public life. But time's running short for a man who's sacrificed much of his life to bringing democracy to Burma.
Do you think that you will live to see real change in Burma?
I always think that, I cannot see the real change in Burma. But when Aung San Suu Kyi was released, on November 13th, now I got some spirit, dynamism and so on. I believe that I will see it. I will see some change. So I think there might be some change before I'm away, of course. But I'm now 82. Maybe I will have to stay for about 20 years or maybe something like that.
Aung San Suu Kyi also remains remarkably patient about the pace of change and what she's given up.
Do you ever think, I've spent so much of my life devoting myself to this? I mean, you've sacrificed so much, yet we're still sitting here having this conversation after you've spent 15 out of 20 years under house
First of all, I
arrest.
don't think it's a sacrifice, and this is something I try to explain. It's a choice. And I think it's a little vain to see it as a sacrifice. What sacrifice? I decided to do this. Nobody forced me to do this. I did what I did because I believed in it. So it was a choice. A choice is quite different from a sacrifice. And then about the time element, of course, if you ask me when would I like democracy, I would have said tomorrow or even yesterday. But in terms of the history of a country, 20 years is not that long. In terms of the history of a far-reaching movement, 20 years is not that long. Of course, it seems long to those who want to get to where they want to get in a hurry. And we do want to get there as quickly as possible.
But will Burma's next generation be so patient? Zayar Thaw was a child when Aung San Suu Kyi's party recorded a landslide victory in the 1990 election, a win that's never been recognised. Since then, thousands, young and old, have been jailed for supporting the opposition movement. Zayar Thaw has just been released after more than 3 years in prison for recording and performing subversive music. Yet he's on stage again already. He's rejoining the ranks of Aung San Suu Kyi's supporters and risking rearrest for speaking to us. But it's a risk he's prepared to take.
Because, like us, the young people want change. We live long in the military agenda, but it doesn't bring us our hope, and it doesn't bring anything except poverty.
Yes, Burma has a developing hip-hop scene, and through dissident hip-hop group Generation Wave, Zayar and his friends put their message out via YouTube. In backward Burma, it's a relatively new approach to circumventing the authorities and bringing attention to the limits on free expression. Just a couple of weeks out of prison, and Zayar already has another song almost ready to go.
Our people want to live in the normal life, not specially or not so many things. We just want to live in the normal life like you.
A normal life in Burma can be about surviving one day at a time. This clinic in Rangoon is the only hope for some trying to do just that. They've been infected with HIV. A visit from Auntie Sue can lift the spirits. The health of her nation is one of her biggest priorities. Yazar is a youth activist working here. Baby Mutapa has already lost her mother to AIDS. She and her father, Win Yut, are also HIV positive. Without medicine, they will die. 8-year-old Sepa is not infected, but he stands to lose his whole family.
The writing is very good.
But a visit from Aung San Suu Kyi can have mixed blessings. The government has since ordered that the clinic be closed and relocated.
When the government ordered that the clinic be moved, its operators simply refused to go. As you can see, it is still here, but they're now having to work with the government in order to keep it going.
It's typical of the Burmese regime to punish and repress its most vulnerable and to discredit its most high-profile opponent. But Aung San Suu Kyi's newfound mobility will see her getting around more. She's been told not to meet foreigners, but she does it anyway.
One point has been made that your approach has changed since you've been released, that you've been trying to engage, for example, with the government.
I don't think my approach has changed at all. We've always wanted to engage with the government, and I sometimes am surprised at what people come out with, because this is partly, of course, due to the fact that communications have been very poor in the past. For example, before I was placed under house arrest the last time, that is to say before 2003, cell phones were practically unknown in Burma. Now, with the improvement in communications, people are able to find out exactly what it is that we want to say.
New technologies are now getting the message out. Just outside Burma, in Chiang Mai in northern Thailand, an entire dissident media network has sprung up. Young Burmese people like Nay To Win have left their homes on the inside so they can more freely publicise the issues affecting the country without risking arrest. This is the office of the Democratic Voice of Burma, a dissident media organisation that was formed and funded by Norway after Aung San Suu Kyi won the Nobel Peace Prize. On TV, radio and via the internet, the organisation tells the world what's happening inside the country.
We have one stringer there, so we already got a TV studio.
Teams of undercover camera operators work on the inside, sending pictures and information out. It's tricky and dangerous work. At the morning editorial meeting, Nay To Win and his colleagues discuss plans for the day's coverage and complex logistics. Nay To Win has been in Thailand for 8 years. He plays a high-profile role on television and radio, both of which broadcast into Burma. As well as daily reporting, he presents a weekly program which analyses the behaviour of the press inside the country, which is heavily controlled. He won't be able to return to the country unless there's a regime change.
No way, I think, because I'm already on TV, then I'll be very, very risky. Or I'm sure I have to go to the jail, if I go there.
Further south, in Thailand's capital, there are many who've chosen not to wait for change. Single mother Aung Ma left her 3 older children with her parents in rural Burma and moved to Bangkok to support them. She's among 2 million economic migrants from Burma who are in Thailand, breadwinners for family at home.
Hi.
On Sundays, Burmese people come together at this church run by Sister Tha Lu and her husband. Sister Tha Lu left Burma 20 years ago. Now her charity helps displaced Burmese integrate into Thailand in the face of the exploitation and fear that dogs illegal workers. She says all of these people have left Burma out of desperation.
These people are really vulnerable group. Most of the migrants workers came from the Burma border rural area, and they have only little knowledge, education, and they came into Thailand.
She says all of these people have left Burma out of desperation.
Most of the people that I met, they are facing the economic problem, issue, daily surviving issue. So they said very hard to earn job, money in Burma.
But Aung Ma now has a new baby, Nor A, who's barely a week old. Now, Aung Ma is alone in Bangkok with her son, and she can't work. But she says she won't go back to Burma until she saves enough money to provide for her family. Aung Ma is from Burma's Mon state, where her family lives in desperate poverty. It couldn't be more different from Bangkok. Having us to visit could get the family jailed for political activity, so we ask a Burmese friend to go on our behalf. Aung Ma's elderly mother is grinding rice into flour to make noodles to sell at the market. This is life for most people in rural Burma, where poverty is the norm. So far, in 3 years away, Aung Ma has managed to send her family 18,000 Thai baht, or about $600. There's little optimism in this family on either side of the border that anything has changed since last year's election and the release of Aung San Suu Kyi.
Most of the people that I met, they are really emphasized on their daily life, daily food, and their family in Burma. And some are they really don't pay attention to the Aung San Suu Kyi also.
But free to connect once more, Aung San Suu Kyi is making up for lost time. In her tour of the country, seemingly her every move is documented, the grainy footage uploaded secretly to the outside world. The reluctant gadabout is now out and about.
One of the nicest things I find about our people is how generous they are when they come to meet me. There's nothing that I'm doing for them. I'm just going out to say that here I am, I want to meet you, I want to keep in touch with you, and to tell them what we've been trying to do. And they're always so cheerful, they always look so happy, as though it was some special event. Sometimes that's all we can do, just smile at each other and wave. But there is this sense of closeness, the sense that there are very strong links between us, and I think that's important.